Guys, this just in. Aliciaxdeath beat cancer. Yippee! Let's go!
Huh? Kaboom.
This was from 6 days ago. There's never too late a time to celebrate, though, okay? Never too late a time to celebrate. Let's hear about it. Let's hear about it.
This video is a video I have been so excited to make, and it's finally time. The title probably says all you really need to know, and that is I have officially beaten cancer.
Huge.
And I got the news yesterday. I got the phone call and I freaked out so much that I was like in complete shock.
This is great.
I wanted to make sure that I told all of my family and close friends first before I told you guys publicly.
Yeah, it makes sense. The normal, rational response is to tell the people close to you before the internet.
Otherwise, it would be kind of awkward if they found out through a YouTube video. So, thus, I'm making it today. And I just want to say thank you so much for all of your love and support throughout everything.
Huge.
It has been a very challenging over the past 2 years. I've been fighting for a really, really long time, but I still can't believe it that we're actually here and that I'm normal. We did it. I did it, you know? And the first thing I really
the way she says it is kind of heartbreaking, you know? Because, like, yeah, I bet you go through every day not feeling normal and just wishing you could be, right? Like, that's got to be so rough.
Is that I'm excited for kind of the next step in my life. As a lot of you may know from my channel already, is that I am engaged and
congratulations!
Really and that I recently bought a house, which those things, when it comes to me fighting cancer and balancing my life, have been almost like undoable, right? I have an amazing fiance and we have delayed our wedding for a really long time due to my battle with cancer and due to a very long visa process. And
oh man, that's a lot.
I'm really excited for that to finally be happening.
Yippee!
Also, I want to have kids, and since I took the longest process possible to fight my cancer, I'm able to have kids myself.
Oh, that's really sweet. That's great to hear. Super exciting.
Something that was in complete jeopardy, but throughout my entire battle, because I have something that was called like uterine cancer or endometrial cancer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure what type of cancer she actually had. Yeah, that's really exciting then that she was able to, you know, have kids after all of that. That would be my number one question is like, it would really stink if you were somebody who wanted to have kids, you know, along with all of the other problems with cancer, obviously. You know, I wouldn't know how common it would be that people are able to have kids after fighting with uterine cancer. So I'm really happy for her.
Basically means that I had malignant tumors within my uterus, and in my uterine lining and my muscle. The problem with that is that normally the treatment for it is to get a hysterectomy. If you don't know what that is.
Oh yeah, so you got to get your entire uterus yeeted. The uterus has the problem, therefore the uterus won't have the problem if the uterus is not there. Yeah, it's really hard too because it messes with your hormones and stuff. Yeah. That like having to do that, having that be the solution is a really rough road to take from what I understand.
It's the removal of your uterus. So I was diagnosed in my mid-20s. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so young and I really want to have kids. But one of the things that made me choose the longer option and a riskier option like this rather than just
it is more risky to do the longer option? Okay, that's interesting too. I didn't know.
The hysterectomy was one of the reasons why in my darkest time, I chose to push forward. And like the thing that pushed me to want to be here to this day was I really want to be a mom.
Aww.
I want to be a wife and I want to be a mom. Those are the two biggest drives in my life that caused me to just stay. which I've talked about openly about battling depression and anxiety and how like I work really hard on my mental health. I go to therapy, I take medication, but
Dang, she's doing better than me while facing twice as much as me, if not more than that.
I didn't have anything during my darkest time that made me want to stay except for this one thing. And when that came into jeopardy, where they were like, you got to get a hysterectomy, I knew there was other resources I could have done. Like I went through all the like options of like either, having a surrogate, of getting my like eggs frozen, of like there's like a bunch of different ones. And
Oh
even
my
outside
God,
of
that all sounds like such a headache, right? Oh, such a headache.
like adoption's also an option. We went through all those options, but at the same time, I knew myself personally that I would regret my life, and I would have regrets or what if scenarios if I didn't try to fight it in this unconventional way. So I went through an intensive hormone treatment and therapy in order to shed cancer out of my body, which is extremely aggressive and very physically like painful because it basically changes my hormonal levels in my body. But it also means that I got to keep my uterus. So rather than fighting cancer for a shorter duration, I had to take it over the past over 2.5 years of treatment now, or like over just over 2 years more like of treatment. And
I feel like I'm sorry, but I just feel like listening to this makes my hair want to fall out. Like secondhand.
Body is exhausted and I am tired, but I'm so excited for this next page of my life. And today is the first day I have officially been cancer free. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tweet daily what I do each day since I've beaten cancer. So I'll be like, this is day 1. And I went to the dentist today. I got my teeth cleaned.
Nice.
Shiny teeth and me. Shiny teeth, shiny teeth.
Shiny teeth. Shiny teeth.
And I made lunch for Richard, my fiance, and I slept in bed with my dog. That was my day today.
It's the little things, man. It's the little things. That's the best of days.
Really else there, but it was wonderful. And actually, I'm going to bring my fiance in here, and you guys can hear from him a little bit. Richard!
Screaming.
Hi, Bungus. Hi, Bungus. Okay.
I love how she just shouts for him out like, ah!
Hi.
Hello.
You want to tell them? You want to tell them things? I don't know. Actually, what I really want to say is like, I tell them how you feel through the journey. I don't know. I don't think people ever hear about like your perspective or side.
This is wholesome, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a long one for sure. I've always wanted to, like, even though it's impossible, like, find a way to
somebody
kinda
must be cutting onions in here for some reason.
relieve all the stress and, pain of going through all this myself. So to hear that, all of this is out of your system is like, I'd say the best news I've ever had in my life.
Oh,
So
that's so sweet.
yeah, I'm feeling great right now.
Oh, I love you.
The onions, they're cutting so much in here. What the hell?
Thank you for your input.
Oh God, there's too many onions.
Yeah, I'm really grateful and really thankful for my partner who's been so patient and loving throughout this whole process. And I'm really thankful to my family, who I didn't live with my family for like basically a decade. And when I was starting to get really sick, how it even, if you don't know the timeline at all, I can kind of give you a little bit of a rundown, was that it was October 2022, and I fainted in my apartment, which I lived alone in. And when I woke up from fainting on the ground, I like messaged my dad, and I was like, I need to be around people because I don't know what's going on.
That is scary. Yeah, that's terrifying. What the heck?
And he's like, yeah, like, here, I'll get you a ticket, fly out right now. And I flew out to my parents, and when I landed, they took me straight to the hospital. And I got misdiagnosed again.
What?
I've been misdiagnosed every year since 2018.
What? How does this happen? Oh, that's so scary. Since 2018 and this is 2022 at this point. Oh my God. So like 4 years of not knowing.
And that's when they believe my cancer started to develop. I am a very unlucky person in the healthcare system because a lot of the doctors thought I was too young to have this particular type of cancer.
Okay, I
But-
don't understand why you wouldn't check for it. Like, you could just be transparent and be like, hey, it's a really low likelihood, but we could check for this, right? You just tell them straight up. I don't understand why this isn't the case, right? You know, like, even if it's an extra cost, you could be like, hey, there is a very slim chance that it is this. But it's like, why just completely not even have it on the table to check?
I have it. And it's more commonly found in older women, but there's outliers. There's people who get it when they're young, and here I am. So they normally catch it faster, though. But the problem is that, again, misdiagnosed in unfortunate circumstances.
I would be so frustrated. I'm sorry, I'm just projecting. I would be so frustrated if this could have been more easily avoided. It's like the better safe than sorry. You could just tell them it's not likely, but hey, we'll check for it. It's that easy. But like somehow we overcomplicate everything by doing everything this way.
And it happening again then was kind of shit.
Yeah, I feel a lot of sympathy for this, that this happened. That really sucks.
What happened was in November was the day I almost died. I lost over half the blood volume in my body.
Oh my God.
And I needed to get 2 blood transfusions done. And I lost my vision. I could no longer walk or move. Like all my limbs gave out.
Jesus
because basically
Christ.
your blood just kind of goes to your main organs when you have that little blood. And I got pretty bad. Like my brain's like very foggy since then, which has made me a lot more goofier and forgetful, but was very frustrating when it first happened. I was not okay.
Yeah, I can imagine that does not sound okay. Yeah, I can put together that would not be okay.
I first realized that I'm not the same as I used to be. But it's okay. It's fine.
I'm just happy she's all right, you know?
I got my results back.
Cancer is terrifying. I didn't even know about the fact that you could have your blood like die. It makes sense, like bleeding internally. Yeah, like I hadn't even thought of all these things. Like they make total sense that this could happen, right? But I hadn't even thought of that as somebody, who hasn't gone through it myself. Like that just sounds horrifying,
In January. Normally the results would have come back a lot sooner than that. They usually take about 3 weeks for most biopsies.
3 weeks for a biopsy, really?
I got my biopsy at the time of timeline's a little weird. So got the blood transfusions, and then I actually had a surgery for about 3 to 4 days later because they wanted to put an IUD in.
Oh God. All right, this is going to sound bad. I'm sure there are people who have a great experience with IUDs, but they terrify me, okay? It is just my personal opinion. It freaks me out. I don't like IUDs, okay? I'm just an IUD hater. I'm happy for who it works for, but they freak me out.
Thinking that I probably have endometriosis. I didn't. I had uterine cancer, which is a little bit different.
Just a fun side fact. Endometriosis, from what I understand, also goes underdiagnosed because people mistake it for other illnesses, like anxiety or IBS, like several other things. So,
but it was also endometrial cancer, so the mix-up would kind of make sense there.
But so maybe it had overlapping symptoms, and that's why they checked. I'm not sure. Interesting.
When they put it in, they also wanted to biopsy like areas within it, and that's when they found out. But the problem prior to that was that in October, when I got biopsied then, The results came back, but I didn't know the results.
What?
Because no one ever told me them. They never did the follow-up phone call for that one.
What? But that's the point. You do the biopsy because you want to find out if it's cancer or not. What? How do you not tell the person the results? What?
And I only found out those results in December from my personal doctor.
It happens all the time. That's awful. That is like, that makes no sense.
So I went to him being like, hey, I haven't got, like, my family doctor. I went to him. I was like, hey, I haven't got my results back from the biopsy. He goes, oh, yeah, you got it from your pap test. It's right here. I was like, oh. I was like, I never saw the results for that one. I meant the biopsy I got recently in the hospital when I got surgery. And they were like, he was like, oh, no, I don't see that here. I just see the pap test one. And I was like, oh, can you read that for me? Because, yeah. It found abnormal cells.
They generally only call if the result is abnormal. That's what makes this even worse. Because it is abnormal. And usually, by the way, they tell you if you hear nothing from us, then it means results are good. That's a very common thing, by the way, is like, if you don't hear back, like, no news is good news is something you hear commonly in like, you know, nurses will say this, doctors will say this. So, like, if it was me, I would assume if I didn't hear back, then it's because there's nothing wrong. How do you know there's something wrong? It'd be like, yeah, so we found this, that it was, that there is something wrong. And we're going to not tell the person, like, what was the entire point then? What?
But they're like, okay, so you don't have cervical cancer, but you have abnormal cells and precancerous ones from just our swab. Which means that there's a possibility that I have cancer in my uterus. Which means they should have fucking called me. And
They absolutely should have called her.
Should have brought me back to tell me. But they didn't. Right? And he's like, the abnormality is not certain of cancer. It's just abnormalities mean that they have to go in and check themselves with further investigation.
Yes. But it means it's not benign. It means that it's not like, no question, there's nothing here, right? A bigger than 0% chance that there's something going on. So we need, like, further testing needed. You know what I'm saying?
Right? I was like, okay, that's no problem. I'm not going to freak out yet because as long as it's not cervical cancer, I'm chilling. The cervical cancer is very, very lethal. The survival rate of it's pretty bad, which is why, like, the spread of...
Really? Okay, let me look it up. I actually didn't know. Cervical cancer survival rate. I'm just curious. The 5-year relative survival rate for all people with cervical cancer is 67%, but it varies based on the stage of cancer at diagnosis. If you catch it early, the 5-year survival rate's 91, but if it's in advanced stages, it could be as low as 19%, which is incredibly low. So yeah.
Uterine cancer can cause major issues, and it's terrifying. Anyways, so I kind of just chilled out for a while until January hit. So it was after, like, everyone got back from their vacations and nonsense. And then I got my results. And the results were, I went in person for this one because the thing they do when they tell you have cancer is you don't get told over the phone. That's not what they do. They take you in person. So I went in person.
Oh my God. I didn't know that either. It's like, oh, let's have you sit down and tell you how bad it's about to get. Oh.
And they told me this really long-winded spiel about other nonsense. And I was like, can you just please tell me? Help. And I kind of was stupid because I was so positive that I was fine.
Yeah.
I went alone.
Oh, God.
Which was dumb. But I did.
That sucks.
I didn't want to freak anyone out. I was like, it's probably nothing, right? And then it was something. And that's when they told me that I have uterine cancer and that it's been developing for a long time. Even though my grade isn't aggressive, but I have large masses and, like, one's really embedded into my muscles because it's been growing for years now.
Oh my God. Like, this entire situation just, like, hurts my soul, man. just hearing how this went down, you know, it's just like so sad. I'm so glad that she was able to get past it in the end, because this is rough.
And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah. They're like, it getting to this point is very like unusual because it would have been found out sooner usually. And I'm like, yeah.
Bro, that would have just been like, thank you for salting the wound. Thank you for salting the wound. It usually would have been found out sooner, so my doctors suck. Yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah. But they're like, but the bright side is that like, you know, like we have a really great like gynecology surgical team here. And they're like, so your case is being referred to them and they'll be like working you through everything. I was like, cool. Now, the thing about when you get diagnosed with cancer is that they don't just tell you, right? What they do is they give you a bunch of options when they tell you, because they don't want you to feel hopeless. They don't want you to feel like, I got this massive bomb dropped on me and now there's nothing I can do after.
Yep.
What I did during that time though, I was like, I'm not ready to hear everything right now. I was like, if you can give me like smaller rundowns, I'm okay. Because I was just kind of shocked that.
Yeah, at the same time, like the other side of this is like dumping all of this information on somebody who just found out something like extremely life-changing and difficult is like going to be hard to swallow all at one time.
I was hearing this and then I just made notes on my phone and yeah, they kind of gave me a few options there. And one of the options mainly being a hysterectomy, but the other ones being like everything was like, oh, your survival rate is pretty good now that we gave you blood, but we might have to keep topping you up with more blood units because our biggest risk is one, you hemorrhaging, and two, your bleeding is so excessive that you're losing too much to like function, which can lead to.
Oh God, just hearing that, I would be like, okay, cool. Do you mind if I take a quick trip to the bathroom to vomit and have a crisis?
A lot of damage, right? And I left the hospital. I actually like when I was leaving the hospital, they're like, "Oh, you get a free cab." And as one of the jokes I made to my fiance later, I was like, "Yo, you know what? At least you get a free cab when they tell you got cancer." You know?
Yeah, that's how I would feel too. Thank you so much. Well, what a nice gift while I'm having a mental breakdown.
Get something out of it. And I walked outside and I called him, and I was like so anxious that I sounded happy, which is like something that I do a lot, is that a lot of what I feel, I kind of paint into the emotion of happy. It's hard to describe. I think
everybody copes differently, right? I use sarcasm too much, which some people really appreciate and other people really don't.
See it often in my videos. I can be scared happy, sad happy. I'm just happy to like, it's how my coping mechanism is, which is very bizarre, but it's who I am.
I don't think so.
I was like on the phone with him, like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to beat this shit and we're going to have babies. We're going to have so many babies. And if I can't have them, we're going to find other options because there's other options out there. The doctor was telling me blah, 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 blah. Right. And he was like, yep, you got this. Yep. It's okay. It's going to be okay. I was like, damn.
I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty healthy coping mechanism. Maybe it's just me, but
it's going to be okay because I'm great and I'm a fighter and blah, 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 blah. Right. And I was just doing all that kind of stuff to like will it into existence. So rather than being the person who cried when they found out they had cancer, I was like, aggressively happy, which was
she was being her best advocate, and I don't know. I feel like that's I feel like that's a pretty good way of coping with something that you can't control. I don't know,
like how I handled it mentally. But then instead of getting a cab, I actually called my mom because I was like, I want to be with family, and I don't want to be alone in a car ride thinking about this alone in my own head.
That would be good.
And my mom picked me up, and she was like, so what happened? What's the news? And I'm like, oh, I should not tell her while she's driving. I was like, I can tell you when we get home. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And we're driving and she goes, do you need to pick up any medication? I was like, oh, I actually do. Do you mind dropping by the pharmacy?
Mom was 5 steps ahead. She was trying to just tell her when she wasn't driving.
So we're on our way there and she goes, and she starts crying. And I'm like, wait, what? What's wrong?
Oh, yeah. She probably noticed like what was,
She goes, if it was good news, you would have just told me.
Yep.
And now I know it's bad.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure mom knows. I'm pretty sure you can't pull a fast one on mom, even if it's out of courtesy and kindness.
And I'm like, oh,
man.
Yeah. I was like, well, wait till we pull in and I can tell you. And she goes, no, I need to know now. I was like, okay, then pull off to the side of the road and I will tell you. So she pulls up to the side of the road and I tell her. And, she kind of breaks down a bit and I comfort her. And then we go pick up my meds. And then I buy her a Subway sandwich with flatbread with lots of jalapenos.
Jalapeno.
And we both comfort eat at home.
Cute.
And then I call my sister in the car while we're driving because she's like furiously texting my mom, like, what's the results for Alicia? What's the results for Alicia? So I call her and I tell her. And my sister kind of freaks out and she starts crying. And then I text my other sister because I know she was in class at the moment. And I know it's better to do phone calls for it, but my middle sister, she's like, both my sisters are older than me. My middle sister she wouldn't be able to handle the phone call.
Yeah, everybody is different. So it's really considerate that she thought like, okay, this is going to be hard for her to just handle directly and know what to say and how to respond in the moment. And you know what I mean? Everybody's different in how they deal with these sorts of things.
Everyone processes things very differently.
Yep.
And she's a very emotional person, but hearing me say it and being her baby sister would not be okay for her. So a text message was the right option for her processing. For my older sister, she would need to hear the phone call. So I called her and told her. And then I get home and my dad comes in.
I can't even imagine, okay, being like, you know what, this is the best way I can, bring this knowledge in the least harmful way to other people to tell them that I'm experiencing cancer. Like, why she's being so selfless about this endeavor. It's nutty.
And I tell him.
I mean, it's a good thing, okay? But like, I don't think I'd be able to handle it with this much grace is what I'm saying.
And he goes into shock. He's very disoriented. And then kind of just leaves. And I'm like, okay, he needs to go process in his own way. Everyone processes in their own way, right? And at this point, I still haven't cried yet because I'm just like caring about everyone else at the moment. Like I'm trying to make sure everyone else is okay.
Yeah, and by the way, this is a way that some people cope, right? Is by thinking about the other people and like it's also something I'm not saying I don't want to speak for her, but it is something common with shock. As somebody who's been through shock before, it's hasn't fully hit her yet is a possibility.
And then I'm finally like alone a bit later, and I'm sitting there, and this is gonna seem really weird. I decided to record more videos rather than processing my emotions.
I don't think that's weird. You don't like being alone, right? And if your comfort is in being around other people or expressing things outwards instead of being stuck internalizing things inwards, I think that actually is pretty consistent.
And I did not process my emotions for quite a while. It took me quite a bit. I finally had my full moment of breaking down when my family thought I was asleep. And I heard my mom and sister holding each other and crying so hard they had a hard time breathing.
That sucks.
And that was like the moment where it actually hit me. Because until then, I was just in shock. And like, I had this confidence towards beating it because I was like, I got this. I'm a bad bitch. I got this. That's kind of the mentality I had. And then them crying made me realize, oh shit, maybe I don't have this. Because yeah, there is a very large risk factor early on in the battle. And the bleeding was like such a huge issue that, yeah, it could cause me to have one, blood clotting in my legs, but two, very high risk for strokes or heart attacks.
Yep.
And yep, that's when it sunk in. The medical journey after that was just a lot of procedures. And I could go into detail about all of that and all the nonsense, but I don't really feel like it. I'm too happy being done with it all.
I don't blame her. She got past all of it, and that is what matters. You know what I mean? So I'm just so glad she finally gets to be done with it.
I'm too happy.
Even putting a toe in, you know, and learning about a little bit of it. Sounds of like fucking going through, you know, layers of hell.
Done. So, yeah. I still will be biopsied again in 6 months from now, and my check will be another 6 months from now. Everything I do now, 3 months from now. We're doing 3 months. We're doing 3 months for the next, like, year, I think. And then we're doing 6 months after the first year. Because technically I'm in remission, but I beat cancer. So I'm free of cancer. But yeah, they got to check in still pretty often.
Yeah, they double, triple check to make sure it does not happen again.
And just in case. And I did have precancerous cells in a different area, but those are gone too. Which is like, holy shit.
Nice.
So I'm like actually good. I'm actually fine. And it's insane. I'm so excited to just see what I'm going to do with my life now and to like be a person again.
No.
And I just want to say thank you for being a part of this journey.
I'm so happy for
her. I used to
her.
record in hospital beds. When I used to record laying down with my microphone on my chest because I had to use a laptop. And
oh my God, I didn't realize she recorded a lot of her videos laying down or being in a hospital bed. That's crazy.
Couldn't sit up to actually record videos. And all the way to now where I got a fancy new model and people still think it's 2D when it's actually 3D, which is crazy.
Yeah, this model is really pretty.
And now we're here pushing 300K on aliciaxdeath and almost 200K on aliciaxlife, which is pretty sick.
Let's
And
go.
I could do all that from a microphone on my tits and a laptop to now upgrading. and I did it all in spite of being in the worst health condition of my life.
Yes. It's such a inspiring story. When you see people like this able to persevere and be positive and go through horrifically difficult things where they don't know what tomorrow looks like and still are able to come out on top and succeed, I feel like they are the most inspiring of people to hear their stories.
And I'm really excited to see what I do now that I'm okay. I will still be on one of my cancer medications for the very intensive hormone therapy. Reason being is that they just don't want it to reoccur. Right?
Yep.
It's just more of a safety measure. And then the moment that I try to start having babies, I can go off the medication. So I'll still have like the aches and pains in a more general sense or body pain from that medication because it's so intensive.
Yep.
But at least I won't have like the direct pain from the cancer itself, like with the pressure and stuff. That's about the major update.
It's up from here.
And I'm better than okay. I beat that shit. And
it's so cute.
This should be about
the squeak, brother. One more time.
I beat that shit.
Clippable moments of all time.
And yeah, I think this should be about the video. And I'm like shaking.
No.
Thank you so much for being here and for being supportive. If you're new to the channel, thank you. And I'm excited for you to see me at my fullest potential. For those of you guys who watched me since, early on in my battle, thanks for always being so patient with me. And I'm really excited for our next steps. My next 2 weeks are probably going to be filled a lot with family. And friends.
I'm happy to hear she gets to spend a lot of time with her family and friends, and she's able to think, of the things that she wasn't able to do before, like having a wedding, I think she said, and having kids in the future. That's so exciting.
As again, I just beat cancer. So IRL is going to be kind of crazy. So if I upload a little bit less, sorry. Doing my best to upload a lot every day though. So yeah. All right. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Super exciting.
And,
very happy for Alicia.
I beat cancer. All right.
Let's go. Beating cancer hype. Anyways, I know that was a little bit of something, you know, heavy to talk about and hear about. But it's important that we humanize these issues. They're very real issues that affect real people. And when we talk about them, it's always really good to listen from people who experience these things directly, right? That's what I think, you know. So I'm just happy to hear about it and listen to her story, and I'm really excited for her. That's all. Anyways, make sure you guys follow her. Here's her channel again. Make sure you guys give her some support. Celebrate her beating cancer. Very happy to hear it. We love listening to people triumph over the most difficult of things. Yes.